is when an M&E person says a result, we are referring to describable or measurable change that is derived from a cause and effect relationship. A result can either be positive or negative, intended or unintended, and can be various types. So it can be a change in status, behavior, skill, function, capacity, practice, state, or well-being. Now, from my experience, when we're interacting with maybe program staff or persons implementing, is that a result, sometimes they only look on result as something that is positive. But it's good to stress that a result is a result. It's any change, positive or negative, intended or unintended. And when we're doing evaluations, it's usually we go looking for intended outcomes. But it's good to have an M&E system in place that can capture all types of results, positive or negative, intended or unintended, and emerging, especially when you are working in complex situations. Now, what is the results chain? Results, positive, negative, unintended, or intended, are linked together by what we call a results chain. So, a chain of results is defined as a relationship between your inputs to your outputs, from outputs to outcome, which leads into the overall impact. That is a results chain. Now, I speak of inputs and outputs and outcomes, but what are these M&E concepts? So just a little tip. So I like to say that resources or inputs are things that you provide, things that the program provide. Activities are things that the program does. And outputs are things that the program or initiative delivers. Outcomes are things the program is trying to achieve. And the goal or impact or long-term objective is what the program wants to contribute to. No program can achieve a goal on its own or impact on its own. You contribute to that end goal, like the Sustainable Development Goals, for example. Activities, as I said before, are things that the program or you do. And activities are usually worded as verbs. So in my workshops, I would say to persons, activities you do. So you hire a consultant, you rent a venue, you draft the contract. So it's action, things that you're doing, verbs, outputs, things that you deliver. So in a program, it's a product or services that you deliver. And normally how you write it, it's usually nouns qualified by a verb. So it's nouns followed by a verb. In this case, the program trained persons. Persons trained. Persons is the noun qualified by the verb trained. So persons trained, schools built. And outcomes are what you hope to achieve. And they're written in words like improved, reduced, increased, strengthened. All right, so these are just some of the tips. Quickly, give you a second to read this slide. So outputs are tangible products and services which result at the completion, at the end of completion of activities. You have the outputs. So you have the activity of hiring teachers. And at the end of hiring teachers, you have the output, which is you have the training workshop conducted. It's a tangible product and service, and it happens right after you complete that activity. While outputs are short-term or medium-term effects that result from your output. So outcomes could be behavior change that result at the end of your training, which is the output. So the training conducted, verb, no, noun qualified by a verb, the training conducted, that's the output at the end of that training that is conducted. You have behavior change. Persons know how to have a better attitude and how to behave differently. And the change in behavior then becomes your outcome, which can be short-term to medium-term effects of your outputs. Also, outputs are within the direct control or influence of the program. A program can always control the outputs. You can control if the workshop is held. You can control if a report is drafted or published. That is within the direct control of the program. So outputs are within the direct control, while outcomes you can influence. It's not under the direct control of the program. Using the example from before, you can have a training to change mindsets, but you cannot control if the person applied what they learned in the program to change their behavior. That's an outcome you can only influence. Outputs, as I said before, happen immediately after the completion of an activity, while outcomes take longer, short-term to medium-term effects, right? And outcomes relate to behavioral changes.